Okay, so today our topic will be design thinking for journalists and science writer. It's by Dr. Faisal Ur Rahman. Dr. Faisal Ur Rahman is our prestigious board member of Scientia, and he's an astronomer, data scientist, and he wears a lot of caps. And presently, he is associated with LUMS as a resident scientist and chief technology officer of My Impact Meter, and also a board member of National Computing Lab at NAD University. And beside,
I have left my impact meter. So
okay,
I'm Chief Technology Officer of Prime Business Engineering Solutions at the moment.
okay, sir, my apologies. Dr. Faisal Rahman has left my impact matter and currently heading Prime Business Solutions. And so, and secondly, most importantly, one of the novel thing about him, he has been involved with astronomy's biggest service, named as EMU ASKAP, Evolutionary Map of Universe, and WALLABY ASKAP, two biggest surveys of astronomy, based in Australia. More than, I guess, 40 to 50 scientists are working within that survey. In 300, more than 300 scientists are working in that survey in 40 different countries. And so today we asked him to give us this talk. And thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you for a very good introduction. Kindly share the slides which I have sent you
Yes, sir.
so that we can
Okay.
start. Okay, the topic is design thinking for journalists and science writers. Uh, Next slide. These are the topics which we are going to cover. First, we are going to introduce design thinking. Then we are going to see some of the steps involved in design thinking, like empathize, define, ideate, creative problem solving is part of the ideation process, and then prototype, testing, and then some key considerations for science journalism, which every science journalist and science writer or science communicator should keep in mind. Design thinking. Now we will move after that, we'll move to the application of design thinking, science writing, and journalism. And then we will do some examples related to morphological analysis, which is part of the ideation process. So the first part will focus on covering design thinking from the point of view as product development, because that's the place from where it is being used, it is being applied nowadays. First, we will understand the core process, and then we will move towards applying these ideas into the areas of science writing and journalism. So next, design thinking brings ideas and tools from the world of architecture and product design. So what used to happen is that uh, architects and product design is not just related to software development. Nowadays, most of the software community is talking about design thinking, but the idea is well before the development of these, from well before the current software development processes were evolved. Design thinking was part of the world of architecture and the world of product design. Product design in a sense, like you are designing cars, you are designing. There were designs related to household objects, furniture. So design thinking was being applied. Design thinking is basically what we call a process that focuses on human-centered design. So the heart, the core of the design thinking is that you have to understand the perspective of the customer. Customer in the sense end user. For journalists, the end user will be the readers, the audience you are targeting for your scientific material, whether it's, and journal is not just about writing articles, it can be about developing documentaries, writing blogs, infographics, web content. These are these things come into science journalism. So next slide. Okay, design thinking methodology has 5 key steps. Empathize, you look into it. Define, ideate, prototype, test. The first 3 are key in understanding the problem and devising a solution. The next are related to the production process. Empathize, next. Pause, next. Okay. Yeah. So Empathize, learn about the audience. The idea is to, uh, get yourself in the shoes of the other person. If you are if you are making something for, you know, a non-technical person, then you have to understand their perspective. If you are writing for the people who don't have science background as such, so you have to understand their way of thinking, their level of understanding. Then define, sharpen your key questions, are based on that understanding which you have developed during the first stage of being empathize. You need to define the key points you're going to address with your product or your article. Ideate, brainstorm, and apply different methods to, come to the solution, devise a solution. Prototype, build representations of one or more ideas, develop some ideas, and then move some to some basic solutions. And because ideas can be very good, but if you can't implement it, then they won't be of any use. So you have to make a prototype, working prototype, and then test your idea and get user feedback. And then there's a process of iteration comes in where you incorporate that feedback and what you have learned from the market testing or uh, whatever other mechanism you are using. So, and then incorporate them into improving those. So you go again to improve your prototype again, and then go for iterations before the final release. Next. So empathize. This phase has three principles: observe, view people like you have different ways, but there are three basic ways you can do: observe, engage, watch, and listen. Observe is watch people what they are doing. If you want to make a product, let's say for make an accounting system, you go to the accounts office and sit there and watch how they do things. Okay. If you want to write something for the users, let's say for students, if you want to develop science material for some students, you sit with the students, you see what's the level of understanding is. So engage with them, and watch and listen. Ask them to go through their tasks, like ask the students about what their learning mechanism is, so that you can gauge some idea about what whatever you are doing, whatever your target audience is, you should understand how they are going to see your product. If you are going to make it too complicated, if you are going to make it too difficult, then it would be that useful for them. Next. Many companies combine the empathize stage of design thinking with insights from data analysis and in the problem areas. So that can also apply in science journalism. You regularly get feedback. Let's say for Scientia, you may be getting feedback from the people, and you may be maintaining some statistics that how many people find your material uh, useful or easier to understand, or some may say the material is too advanced. Some may say it's too easy, like you are not covering anything interesting, new, or something which is making them think. So you have to, uh, you keep those things in mind, and then with hopefully, with every issue of Scientia, you are improving, and I'm seeing that improvement, like it's really improving really well, mainly because you already have an experienced team. So, for example, Airbnb combined data from surveys with insights from one-to-one interviews to get a better understanding of how lodging hosts decided to accept or reject a guest. So that's one interview. The combination can lead to insights that may not have been available using one of these approaches alone. Means you have to apply different ways. Take surveys, talk individually. Uh, you when you go to bank, you have certain feedback devices attached. So that's one of the other ways. One of the ways these organizations collect data. Naturally, this often an iterative process. Uh, this is often which with insights from each side being observed and validated with the others to reach a consensus. So you because often you have to, in fact, go back to the same people again for their feedback. Sometimes you have to rephrase your questioning in your second interview. You realize that the questions you are asking may not be that clear to the users. Sometimes you have to go back to them. Sometimes you have to validate the feedback. Okay, there can be some, uh, people who will be just, your friends. You are taking their survey and they are like, okay, everything is good. So they may not be you, and then you go to some neutral or some actual users, and they give you honest feedback which is contrary to the findings you have found in your friends and family circles. So you have to revise your data set for the analysis, and then you have to go back for the questioning again. So these are the things which are part of this whole process. The end goal is to get the perspective of the actual user of your product or your whatever you are offering or service. Next, define. The define aims to bring clarity to the design. The aim is to create an actionable problem statement. So if we are addressing a problem, now in sometimes when you get the feedback from the people, the feedback, the sometimes when you get views from the people during the empathy stage, so that people often don't give you insights in a clear, well-defined format. Okay, so they may give you they may describe something or a situation or a problem in a way that may look vague initially. Then you take a lot discuss the problem with a lot of people, get their feedback, and then it's your job now, your team's job is to put it something into and put it in all this that and develop some actionable problem statement. The problem statement also brings together the set of needs that are important to fulfill, provides focus for the team working on the design. So you have identified 10, 12 areas as people are identifying. However, you have limited resources. You have to see what are the core pain areas, and then you have to do things like benefit cost analysis. You have to see which things are urgent, which things have high priority, which require more less or more resources. So there's the concept called low hanging fruit. Let's say something important, something valuable is and something which requires less resources is something which can be done immediately. You call it a low hanging fruit. There are things which require a lot of resources and time, but they may not benefit that much. So you don't put them in your initial iteration, or don't put them at all in your development plan. So that's something which you do in your defined stage. Similar is the writing. You have like 1,000 word or 1,200 word limitation for a blog, or 1,700 or 1,800 or 2,000 words in your article, feature length article. So you have to prioritize the items which you have to put in, and the items you have to exclude. So, but the key is to create an actionable problem statement. What are you going to do? What is the end goal? What is the end goal? And what value is it going to create? Things like these. Next. Ideate. The ideate focuses on developing ideas aiming to go wide, look for wider, more innovative solutions. It's called divergence. First, go for getting too many, like go for like a lot of ideas, put them like in the same place, or have a team meeting and discuss a lot of ideas. One thing which design thinking encourages is is collaboration. So if we are planning, let's say, next uh, topic of focus for Scientia magazine, you will should have a team meeting where people should be free to give their ideas, should feel safe to give ideas. No idea should be considered as like stupid unless it's a very stupid idea. Otherwise, most ideas are not that stupid. So just some ideas are better than others, or some ideas become high priority because of the situations going around. Like during COVID-19 was the top priority idea for every scientific magazine. In fact, for any magazine or newspaper, scientific or not, COVID-19 was the news. So somebody would say, okay, we should focus on malaria or or some other like disease. I don't think many would have considered to focus on that. It can have drawbacks as well, like some of the stuff which might be dangerous, like COVID-19, but people overlooked. So that was something that could have happened as well. So these meetings like ideation bring when you provide a safe space, people can present their own ideas and challenge your understanding. So you can learn a lot. So once you have these go wider, and you have analyzed a lot of press, a lot of ideas through a process, and you can apply different techniques like brainstorming, like mind mapping, sketching. You can sketch ideas, mock-ups from basic materials, morphological analysis, Lego bricks, there are different things which you can do. We are going to explore morphological analysis in this. It's a bit more structured, and I find it a very useful tool during the product development, because I have worked like on multiple products and I have taken them from 0 to 1. So it's and something I use when I write, when I write sometimes for newspapers, or when so I use that tool as well too. So next, from the ideation, once you converge, then once you diverge, then you go for convergence. Like after divergence of having many ideas are put in front of you, now you go for consensus and converge to some ideas which you can actually work on, which can go to the prototype stage. So morphological analysis is something which is developed by Fritz Zwicky. You was an astronomy student, so you may have heard of him from the discovery of dark matter. So he developed this method of working on a problem in a systematic way and finding a solution or devising something. This is now used widely in product development. Next. Okay. So the idea is to make make all the suggestions visible to everyone, assign labels to the subcategories of functions you are which will be part of the whole system you are doing, and then write multiple options which can be put into the each category or each label or each function. So it's a grid-like method. So you can have labels as columns or labels as rows, it doesn't matter. Next. So this is one of the examples for e-commerce product development. Here you can see on the leftmost row, you have sub functions, which are client interface, server, products, payment options, target market. So these can be made into columns as well. It doesn't matter. So you can use it as the first element of the left row, or you can use first column for this. So it doesn't matter. In fact, in the exercises for science writing, for science journalism, I have used columns approach. Here I gave this one a long time, this lecture about a year ago to my team for product development. So at that time I used the labels in the leftmost row. And then on rest are the means. Means are on the means of what are the means? Like for client interface, you can have web-based interface, smart client interface, mobile interface. You can have IoT device, smartwatches, refrigerator, whatever, a phone-based interface. So a phone means the regular landline phone. You can have a voice solution. Server, you can have local premises. You can have third-party cloud. You have mixed mode. Similarly, products, you have different options, which products you are going to sell in your e-commerce store, payment options. You can have like different payment options and target markets, what markets you are targeting. So what you can do, you can, for your initial basic solution, you pick maybe one option from each category and then start developing that option. This will give you an initial path for your prototype. If you scatter yourself too much or you pick too much options, then it will become very hard for you to, achieve anything. The idea is to pick the smallest possible problem and then start solving it, or pick the smallest possible target and start working on it. Similarly, uh, in article writing, you have to start with something basic. You gradually add things into it. If you scatter your mind too much, and you won't be able to write anything. It's like, many writers face this problem of writer block. So best is to like, one of the good option is, there is no best approach. One good approach is to, write down your options and select a simplest path, and then start working on that, and then gradually improve and add things. Next, prototype. A prototype in design thinking is a tangible or interactive representation of a product, system, or concept. The prototype in writing case or in video documentary case will be something very simple, a rough draft or a basic video concept, like not very finished video concept. You can use some, you know, without instead of like, if you want to make a documentary about lions, instead of just first going straight into the, jungle, or Africa, or like, I don't know where lions are in Pakistan. So instead of going straight to that, you just develop something from whatever images you have, create a basic idea and present to your editorial board, and then get the feedback if something can be done in a better way, and then going into, developing the whole thing. It allows designers to test and gather feedback early in the design process. Prototyping helps visualize and communicate ideas, validate assumptions, and iterate on design solutions. Again, iterate after the process of testing. You will get some feedback from the people, whether they like some aspects or not, then you can further improve in the iteration processes. It enables designers to gain valuable insights and learn from user interactions. Prototypes can range from low fidelity example sketches, paper models, or high fidelity, closely resembling the final product. That depends on the domain to domain. Like for software development, some processes will work. For car design, something else will work. For article writing or video making, something else will work. It depends on the domain. The primary purpose of a prototype is to facilitate learning and generate actionable insights. Prototyping encourages collaboration and multidisciplinary teamwork. User feedback obtained through prototyping help uncover usability issues and refine the design. Prototypes bridge the gap between abstract ideas and real-world solutions. That's another thing. The idea is to, convert something vague into something real, which can make sense to the stakeholders. Okay, now we can understand, and now we can give feedback on this. Not everyone is going to understand your idea when you don't have a prototype. When you have a world-changing idea, but if you can't show some basic sketch or progress related to that, which another person can understand, then they won't be able to give any feedback. The drive informed decisions, refinement, and creation of user-centered products. So even in cases of journalism, your editor may want something, okay, write a paragraph or some bullet points for that, so that they can make a decision about whether you should work on this feature or not, feature article or not, or whether people ask for sample chapters for the book, whether so that publishing house would like to commit to this book or not. That those samples can help in making an informed decision. Next, testing or test phase. This is the last phase, but testing again leads to some prototype or even ideate or even earliest stage for empathize. Testing gives you the idea whether you were going correctly, whether you are going in the right course or not. Okay. Testing and design thinking involves evaluating and validating design solutions through user feedback and iteration. It helps to assess the effectiveness and usability of a design solution before its final implementation. Testing allows designers to understand user needs, preferences, and pain points. Okay, so these are the key points, rest you can see from the slides. The main idea is to whatever you have built in the prototype stage, test it, get feedback, and then improve upon it in your next iteration. So next, some key considerations for science journalism. I think we should do this part in the next.
Yes, yes, yes. I guess we may end the meeting and we can join back because our time is going to end. Okay, we all can rejoin back. I will end the meeting.
Same link? Okay.